What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to week 2 of the weekly recaps for the Toronto Blue Jays. This week was full of its ups and its downs, had its good times and its bad times, had its good coaching decisions, had its bad coaching decisions. So we're going to get into all of that and more on this week's weekly recap of the Blue Jays. So let's get into it. So let's go. We're looking to bounce back after a rough series against the Orioles where we split the series, but it was still rough, and we looked to face the Nationals and win Game 1. And you know it's going to be a bounce back day when you have Mr. Almost No-Hitter himself, Bowden Francis, taking the bump. And Andres Gimenez would continue his hot streak early in the second inning.
The first 4 games.
Another high fly ball, and it's deep, and it is gone.
Andres Gimenez hits his 3rd home run this year already, and at this point, I don't even know who this guy is anymore, bro. But I'm pretty sure we all know who this is, so just roll the clip.
And Calgary's Mike Soroka.
Down the right field line, hit well, and it's off the wall on a bounce.
Vlad Rockets a RBI double down the right field line, and the Blue Jays now lead 2-0 after 3. But now with Andres Gimenez on second base, Kirk wants the action.
You don't have those double plays. And look at Kirk poking one the other way, just fair.
He does poke it, and it does stay just fair. Alejandro Kirk with an RBI single, and the Blue Jays now lead 3-0, but they're still not finished.
Blue Jays 1 out, and Nathan Lucas up.
Chops it to third.
Nathan Lucas gets an RBI to make it 4-0, but after 4 innings of domination, the Nationals want to join the party.
C.J. Abrams is coming.
Abrams jacks one to right. See you later.
And in Bowden Francis fashion, he gives up a home run to break the no-hitter, but the Nationals still aren't done.
That home run by Abrams.
Swinging drive by Wood in the air to deep left. Back goes Roman to the warning track. He's at the wall. He has no play.
The Nationals decide to make it a game and launch 2 back-to-back home runs, but now with George Springer at the plate, the Blue Jays look to get back on the board.
Field wall in his last at-bat. He grounds it through the left side, a base hit.
George Springer gets a RBI single to make it 5-2, and now the Nationals are down to their final out.
And he got him. Blew it by him at 97.
That's right, the Blue Jays take Game 1 by a score of 5-2 in a much-needed win in the much-needed win series against the Nationals. We'd look to keep the momentum pushing into Game 2 to try to knock down the Nationals one more time. And on the mound for Game 2, we'd have none other than La Máquina himself, Jose Berrios. Let's see if he can bounce back after a not-so-good opening day start. Another run scored early in the game. Check this out.
George Springer.
3-0. Swing and a blast in the left field. A line drive base hit.
George Springer, who's been going crazy this week, just roped a single into left field. Will Wagner bunts to get on base, and then this happens.
Bases loaded, nobody out for Ernie Clement. And he rolls one up the middle. Sliding stop Abrams. They'll just get the one.
Ernie Clement beats out the double play and a run scores, but the Jays are not done.
Swinging a ground ball up the middle. Diving stop by Abrams, but the glove flip gets away.
Amazing stop by C.J. Abrams, but the glove flip does not work. 3-0 Blue Jays, but then the Nationals look to join the party.
Huge 2-out knock. Drive in 2.
Well, that'll get the job done.
It sure does, as the announcer calls it. The game is now 3-2, and now Mason Fluharty enters the game for some reason that I don't know of.
With the tying run at third in the 7th inning. Abrams, right field corner. The game is tied.
Abrams gets a base hit. The game is all tied at 3, but Bo Bichette in the late stages won't go away that easily.
2 down. It'll be up to Bo Bichette.
0-2.
Bichette bounces it. Fair ball. Down the line, and it scores a couple.
The clutch hit from Bo Bichette that just stays fair down the line, brings in 2, and the Blue Jays now lead 5-3, and we rely on new closer Jeff Hoffman to get the job done.
Last hope is Alex Call.
Popped him up. Guerrero makes the catch, and that is the ball game.
He gets the job done. Jays win 5-3 and now look for the sweep. So here go the Blue Jays heading into Game 3, looking for this series sweep over the Washington Nationals. And new pitcher recently called it from AAA to fill in for Max Scherzer. Easton Lucas takes the mound, but we wouldn't have to wait long for our first bit of action from Andres Gimenez.
The Blue Jays today. That's a base hit into right field.
This base hit would bring in Anthony Santander from second base, and the Blue Jays lead 1-0. But then the hottest hitter in the lineup just keeps getting hotter.
In the bottom of the fourth, called out on strikes his first time up. Now a ball in the air to left, hit pretty well. It turns and it's gone.
George Springer cranks it for his first home run of the season, and the Blue Jays now lead 2-0, and there wouldn't have to be a long wait for the next run to score.
A hit to break this game open a little bit. In the air to right, he's hit it well.
Ernie Clement indeed breaks the game open with a sacrifice fly, and the Blue Jays now lead 3-0 in the fifth inning. But CJ didn't like that very much, so he did this.
It was second into a force play. Swing by Abrams and a drive to deep right. Going, gone, goodbye.
That ball had a family, but CJ does not care. Now it's 3-1 Blue Jays, but Vladimir Guerrero Jr. didn't like that very much, so he did this.
Or a well-placed grounder to bring in a run.
Ground ball to short. Abrams is coming home. It's a high throw and the runner is safe.
CJ makes the error, high throw, run scores, and Guerrero safe 4-1, but the Nationals strike back.
Low. Get a super salvage here. 0 for 3 with strikeouts. That'll be into the right field corner.
Indeed, it is into the right field corner. That ball scores the runner from first, and it's 4-2 Blue Jays, but then they're down to their final out.
Who's 0 for 3 today. There goes Young. They'll throw through. And they got him.
GOAT Tyler Heineman throws the runner out at second for the win and tells the bench to never do that again, and the Blue Jays get the sweep over the Nationals. The Blue Jays would look to carry the momentum over to the series against the Mets, but it's going to be a challenge because it is the Mets home opener. But what other pitcher would you rather have on the mound to try and do it than the boy Kevin Gausman himself? But unfortunately for Kevin Gausman, Big Pete would bring the heat early.
1-2 to Alonso. And he lifts one out to right field, chasing Rodin back to the warning track, and it's out of here!
Ladies and gentlemen, the juice ball era is upon us because what the hell was that? How did that go out? Nonetheless, it's 2-0 Mets early, and now Mason Fluharty has to face Juan Soto.
One on the sixth, and he lines one down the right field line. That's an extra base hit for Soto.
And like any of us could have guessed, that did not go well, as it is now 3-0 Mets. But for some reason, they still feel the need to score runs.
Brandon Nimmo.
And he drives one down the right field line. That's going to go to the wall.
If there's anything good about this hit is that it only scored 1 run, so the Mets lead 4-0. Now with Mason Fluharty out of the game, we put another pitcher in who can't pitch, Jacob Barnes.
Starling Marte, and that's driven to center field. That'll get a run in.
Guess what happens when you put a pitcher in the game who can't pitch? The other team scores runs. It's 5-0 Mets, and now after not scoring a run the whole game, the Blue Jays are down to their final out.
Will Wagner, one more to get. Wagner pops one up. Lindor makes the call, and the ball game is over.
After sweeping the Nationals, the Blue Jays lose Game 1 to the Mets by a score of 5-0, but that's okay because there's always the next game, right?
Out in a scoreless game in the fifth.
And a base hit into left. Rodin is getting the way. The throw will come into third, and the RBI single by Guerrero.
Second, Bo Bichette up 1-0 Blue Jays.
Fair ball down the left field line.
And he's going to bat for himself against the lefty. And Winker drives one out to right field. Back goes Springer to the warning track. Torrens at first, one out. And Lindor gets a breaking ball and drills it to right center. Over comes the center fielder Straw. Tagging is Siri. He comes in to score.
All right, after a very miserable 2 first games against the Mets, the Blue Jays look to salvage a third game with Bowden Francis on the bump. Let's frickin' go. Unfortunately for the Jays, Pete Alonso would bring the heat early.
Mets have 2 men on for Alonso. He hits it hard, past the diving Bichette into left center. Singer being waved around third.
Pete Alonso hits an RBI single, and runner scores 1-0 Mets, but they're not finished.
Nimmo. And He socks one out to left field. Over toward the line comes Schneider, tagging third Soto.
Brandon Nimmo hits a sacrifice fly 2-0. We'd have to wait for a long time to get another run, but thankfully it's the Blue Jays this time.
Bases loaded, 2 down. And he hits him with a pitch, and that's going to force in a run.
In a game where the Jays struggled to find any offense, Jimenez gets hit by a pitch 2-1, but later in the ninth they'd be down to their final out.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Guerrero quits a ground ball right at Lindor, goes to second, first play, and the ball game is over.
With the final out on the line, Guerrero at the plate, he swings at the first pitch, it's a ground ball, and the Jays get swept by the New York Mets. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for my favorite segment where we talk about the starting pitchers for each day, and today we're starting off with La Máquina himself, Jose Berrios, who had a much better game than opening day, alright? He finished his game with a 6.75 ERA, went 5 2/3 innings pitched, gave up only 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, but 8 strikeouts. What a day for Jose Berrios. Next, we got Bowden Francis, who was the only pitcher to pitch twice this week. Here are his combined stats through the 2 starts. He went 2 games, pitched 11 1/3 innings, had a 3.18 ERA with 8 hits allowed, 4 earned runs, 5 walks, and 10 strikeouts. Also took a no-hitter into the 5th against the Nats. Shout out Bowden Francis. Alright, next pitcher we got is the man Kevin Gausman, who was unfortunately not the man against the New York Mets, and I'm going to tell you why. He finished the game with a 3.97 ERA, went 5 1/3 innings pitched, gave up 2 hits, which is not bad, but 3 earned runs, one of them being a home run, and struck out 0. Rare 0 strikeout day for Kevin Gausman. Alright, next pitcher is the man himself who took over for Max Scherzer, who's on the IL, Easton Lucas. I don't know where the hell this man came from, alright, but he got called up and he dominated against the Nationals, going 5 innings, only allowing 1 hit, only walking 2 batters, 0 earned runs, and striking out 3. Bro went insane for no reason. Alright, and the last pitcher who also wins this week's Pitcher of the Week award, it goes to Chris Bassett, and I'm here to tell you why, ladies and gentlemen, okay? This week, he finished with a 0.71 ERA, absolute insanity. In this game against the Mets, he pitched 6.2 innings, finished with 4 hits, and striking out 9 batters. The doghound, he still got it. And the Reliever of the Week award goes to none other than Jimmy Garcia, who finished the week with a 0 ERA, going 4 1/3 innings, only walking 1 batter, giving up 2 hits, and striking out 5. Let's go. And now that we got that out of the way, here is your Defensive Play of the Week.
Slider, and he lifts another one to center. This one is well hit. And Springer's got it right up against the 408 mark in straightaway center field.
I mean, it was pretty alright. It was between this or the Anthony Santander slide and grab, which is pretty mediocre. I couldn't find anything better, but if I missed something, let me know. But this is it for now, and I think it's pretty good. Alright, and now the moment you've all been waiting for. This week's Player of the Week goes to George Springer, also the winner of Defensive Play of the Week. Here are his stats. This week, George Springer hit .455 with a .514 on base and .667 slugging, 1 home run, 5 RBIs, and that .455 average leads the MLB in batting average, so shout out to Unk, he still got it. Alright, here we go with the good and the bad, and we're starting off with the good, and the first thing I had was that we had very productive at-bats. With runners on base, we capitalized a ton, including stuff like sacrifice bunts, sacrifice flies, and hitting the ball into play with runners on base, which is extremely helpful. Alright, y'all, continuing with the good this week, I'm just going to have to give it to the entire starting pitching staff because they had a combined ERA of 2.43, which is absolute bonkers. Too bad this shitty bullpen cannot help them win games. Alright, now moving over to the bad, the first thing I have, same as last week, it's the bullpen, okay? We gotta fix this bullpen, and I'm going to show you why. This week, the bullpen had a combined ERA of 7.02, which is absolutely diabolical. Someone on this team needs to do something, or maybe the coach needs to be better. I don't freaking know, but we gotta lock in. Alright, the next thing I got is very bad coaching decisions, and we're just gonna get into it. In my notes, I wrote down Brendan Little pitching 3 days in a row, bringing out Chris Bassett in the 7th inning when he was dominating. Mason Fluharty coming into the games in very tight situations for his first 2 major league appearances and not bunting over first the close game against the Mets, okay? I don't know what John Schneider's doing. His brain needs to turn back on. Y'all, that is going to be it for this week's weekly recap. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you guys like this format of the weekly recaps, make sure you let me know down below in the comments. And if you want me to change anything, also let me know that. I'm always looking for new improvement decisions to help grow the channel. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. But with that being said, it's been me, your boy Brandon. I break down the Jays, and I'll see you next time. Peace.